Heyo! Welcome in everybody to the Dynasty Brews podcast. This is the podcast of the people that love to stay frosty, and that is right. That is a bad intro right there, but we are gonna roll with it. It is Justin and Justin here, Double J in the house. Justin, how are you doing on this Friday night? Actually, Friday at 11 for me, 10 for you. Late night Friday. How are you
Late
doing
night
tonight?
Friday. Just enjoying the new masonry from last week. Loving my new recording studio here.
So I'm just wondering, how often do you get on that piano?
Not very often. It's more of an aristocrat's novelty item.
There you go. I like it. I like it. Make it look real fancy. Just hope nobody is. Hey, somebody play the piano in here.
One of these
uh,
days I'll learn to play the piano. I'm just too
yeah.
busy sleeping on these comfy couches.
Too busy sleeping on those comfy couches and winning fantasy, man. So, speaking about winning fantasy, two teams that, you don't usually stock up if you want to win in fantasy. The Steelers and the Browns went at it yesterday. We had an interesting game. I would say it was pretty interesting all the way until the very end when the Browns defense kind of saved a lot of teams, including myself. I know you had quite an experience with that. You want to tell the folks how that Browns touchdown made you feel last night?
Yeah, it sucked. Totally sucked. Was in first place in one of these little free things that I did, and fell all the way down to 41st place because of the touchdown. So I think I got it sucked. That's all it was.
Oof. 5 seconds left.
It's typical Mitch Trubisky. Somehow, I don't understand how they're refusing to put that guy in. Can't pick it.
Pickett?
I mean, it,
Yeah.
it blows my mind. I don't know.
Does that speak more to Pickett not progressing or Tomlin just being a diehard on his plan, going to die on his horse? This is the hill I chose to live and die off of, was sit my rookie. Like,
Yeah,
what do you think that is
it,
correlated more with?
it's just the hard fast rule. He doesn't want to play as rookie. I mean, Big Ben got his shot because of an injury, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, Tommy
Um,
Maddox went down.
yeah,
Yep.
and Tomlin has said it's not his plan to play Pickett. I mean, I don't. I mean, for example, right? I mean, if not for Dr. Punctured Lung, Herbert doesn't play. I mean, they didn't want to play Herbert in LA. It's like you can't make these rules and insinuate that because player X hasn't gotten in that they're not good. Like Tyrod was okay, but Herbert was clearly the better player. They were just trying to protect him. You know what I mean? I just think it's silly to insinuate that he's a bad player because he hasn't seen the field 3 weeks into the season.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, he was a first round pick. You want to protect that, and if they lose a couple more games, it could be the situation where you might as well just see what you got. I mean, Trubisky is essentially on a 1-year deal in Pittsburgh, so
I mean,
this last year is.
they're going to play. They have a brutal schedule upcoming. I think they're trying to get him after the bye. I imagine they're going to put him in after the bye week.
So what's their bye? Is it week 6 or week 7?
Let's take a look. I want to say it's like week 8 or 9.
Week 8 or 9. Well, I'd be completely off on that one. Just run through a couple stats here with you. Trubisky goes for 207.
Week 9.
0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Did you get the bye?
Yeah, week 9.
Week 9. Okay. Yeah. That gives you a back half of the season. See what he's really about.
Yeah.
So Najee Harris goes for 56 yards and a touchdown. He also catches 3 passes for 5 yards. Deontay Johnson goes 8 for 84. Pat Fryermuth, they get him involved very late, 2 for 41. Pickens makes the monster catch of the season, but he also just goes for 3 for 39, and Claypool has 3 for 35. The real offensive side was on the Browns, which is surprising to me. Brissett gets 2 touchdowns, 220 yards. Chubb had 113 yards and a touchdown. Cooper had another amazing night, and David Njoku was the real surprise here. 9 for 89 and a touchdown. So tell me, Justin, like, what did you take away from this dynasty wise, and more importantly, what did you take away from this fantasy wise, as far as like this offense? Do you think it's going to be this way when Deshaun Watson gets back, or you think it's going to be even better?
I don't know if it's going to be. I don't think you're going to see Chubb break 100 too often. Um, I liked Chubb a lot this season prior to Watson's suspension being reduced. I think Chubb is a stud. I think he's RB1 until Watson comes back. But who knows? He could still also produce when he gets back. Only thing I've learned is I think last week I traded a third round pick in Teddy Bridgewater for Jacoby Brissett. It was after I started Brissett week 2 and week 3 because of a Wilson injury and Watson being out. And Brissett's startable right now. He's got the rushing upside. Not going to finish as QB1, but I mean, he's gotten, I want to say 18 points at least the last 2 weeks. Very viable. Brown's offense is not as bad as we think it is. And it's going to feel really, I just don't know if we're ready to have this discussion yet, but there's a very real chance that Jacoby gets his teams to 6-7 wins and the Browns get in the playoffs. And then we're talking about, I just don't think we're ready to see Watson take this team far in the playoffs yet, because I still think it's going to feel a little gross to a lot of people. So it's kind of an interesting situation that they have playing out right now, because they should be 3-0.
Yeah, I mean, that's 100% right. They should be 3-0, and it's kind of weird to say that considering, like you said, Jacoby Brissett is your quarterback. Through 2 weeks, not counting this past week, so everybody's on an even playing field. Jacoby Brissett sits firmly in at QB2 at QB21 right now. So, and here's perspective for you. Another guy who just changed teams is right above him with only 2 points more. His name is Russell Wilson. That's right. Mr. Unlimited is just above him. So
He's
his
very
struggles,
limited.
yes. Well, I don't know if it's him being limited, that coaching staff being limited, or probably just a mixture of both.
We
But
had the
so
discussion last week. That dude, all I want is my 75 cents back and for him to be fired. Worst coaching hire I've ever seen.
yeah, I mean, we'll definitely see at the end of the year if the Broncos can't get it together. But he definitely looks like he was more of a product of Aaron Rodgers being successful than actually being a good coach.
I mean, I actually think the problem is, I mean, he did well in Buffalo too. I just don't think he's built to be a head coach. And I think part of his problem is he used to call plays from the booth where you have enough time to, think about the next play and do all this. He's coaching on the sidelines. I think that's playing a big role in it. But as a whole, the team looks just unprepared. It's frustrating. They have so much talent on offense. It's just frustrating for me to watch. And because
Yeah,
I am very in on, I'm a big Sutton fan. I think Sutton's a stud, and it's frustrating to watch.
100%. So I got a question for you. We're going to veer back to this Steelers Browns argument or this game. Are you concerned at all about Najee Harris? I mean, his usage says that, maybe they were more focused on the passing game and he's not really involved with Trubisky because Trubisky doesn't go short too often. Are you concerned overall for him? We have this constant nagging Liz Frank injury sprain that he's got on his foot, not to mention, it looks like the Steelers might be playing negative game script for a lot of their games. You said it. They've got they've got a terrible run of games coming up. What's your level of concern right now for Najee Harris?
I mean, it's dynasty, so not a whole lot of concern, but in terms of seasonal outlook, the alarm's pretty high. I mean, I don't think you're comfortable if he's your RB1. Yeah, RB2, you feel good. I think he still got you like 10, 12 points last night, but if you were relying on him to be your stable workhorse, you probably drafted him high second, late first, early second round in a startup. It's probably not going to pay dividends this season. So hopefully, there's things you can do to limit this. In a super flex league, if you have Najee, and Dak, your season's not looking like it's going the right way this season. So I would start planning accordingly.
So I'm going to throw this at you, kind of a little foreshadowing for a future segment for us in this episode. Are you trading for, trading away, or holding on Najee Harris?
Every situation's different, but me, if I'm contending, probably gonna buy. I think people are panicking. We both know the useful life of running backs isn't exactly super strong. So I guess for me, more so I'm going to buy than not because I think he's still got longevity. We're talking about a player entering his second year, still has plenty of useful life left in his legs. Um, I think I'm buying. I think he's at a discount right now. People are worried, justifiably so. But it's a marathon, not a sprint.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. So let's move on. Let's actually start off with some of these games coming up. Um, I want to talk about all of them in light detail because we're only running an hour podcast here. Let's start off with the Saints and the Panthers at 1 o'clock. What are you looking for in this game? Like, obviously, Kamara's coming back. Baker is still Baker. Jameis has a broken back from carrying the team back from that Atlanta Falcons almost loss. Michael Thomas faded away last week. Chris Olave had 300 air yards last week. DJ Moore, big fan of DJ Moore over here. Double J is a big fan of him. He got into the end zone last week. What are you looking for in this game? Like, there's a lot of storylines to be bouncing around, but who are you looking for as far as production wise, and who are you looking for as far as like dynasty wise that you're like you want them to really do something this week?
So to be fair, I'm going to answer the first question. What am I looking for in this game? And I'm going to go with the remote because I don't want to watch this game. The
Red
non-sarcastic,
zone.
the the non-sarcastic answer is I think a lot of people bought the Jameis hype. I was a little skeptical of it, but let's bear in mind they don't have a first round pick next year. So something, if something's going to happen, it's going to be one of those odd QB shuffles there. How about Baker? I mean, we were sold the bill of goods that Baker was the problem and that Baker wasn't the problem in Cleveland, that it was a run first offense. We're seeing Jacoby should be 3-0 as a starter. And Baker's supposed to be a huge upgrade for this Panthers offense. He's kind of running out of excuses in my book. Like, he's got to start stacking up some wins, or he's starting to look a lot more like Sam Darnold than anything else.
Yeah, and I won't say he's to Darnold's level yet of like incompetency where you're like, oh my God, I have to start Sam Darnold here. But you're absolutely right. As far as, let's call a spade. Baker Mayfield right now is a first round pick who was drafted as a game manager at this point. And when you look at, game managers, Jacoby Brissett is pretty dang good for a game manager. Now you look at Baker's stat line for 2 games. He's got 380 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. That's pretty putrid in my mind. I don't like that at all. He completed less than half of his passes last week against the Giants. And now you got to play a Saints team that almost held Tom Brady to like 3 points if it wasn't for a couple of bad penalties.
Yeah, that one's a little. I mean, you're not wrong. I blame the talent around Brady at this point. His demise is much. It's not as bad as people think it is, but yeah, I'm with you. In terms of this game, I think the Saints kind of cruise. I don't think it's a divisional game. Carolina's at home. I just don't think it matters. I mean, man, the Dennis Allen thing just keeps clawing at me. I'll go Saints here, but I don't love it.
All right. Well, I'm going to go Panthers on this one, and it's not just to be contrarian to you. It's because I legit think that the Panthers have enough talent around them to pull this out. And I think that Jameis, the back situation, there's actually something to it.
Oh
A
yeah.
quarterback with a bad back, it just doesn't sound very good. You
How
also
about
got a running back with a rib injury.
how about
Um,
show me something, by the way, Alvin Kamara?
yeah, there you go. I like that.
Yeah.
That should be the narrative of this game. Show me that you're still worth that top 10 pick.
Yeah.
So let's move on to the Texans and the Bears. Narrative here, who's going to score? Two teams that are really bad against the run.
Different
You
narrative.
got David Montgomery on one side. You got Damian Pierce on the other. Is this a
Different narrative.
Damian Pierce breakout game?
It's possible. Some of the industry have projected that. My narrative is how many passes or how many, what's the over under on pass attempts here? Give me a number. I'll tell you what I think.
For total?
Total
For
pass
Mills and
attempts
Fields?
between, yeah. Yep.
Oh, you know what? I'm gonna be optimistic. I'm gonna say 40.
40. All right, give me the over on 40, but just barely. I think you're not wrong. I think it's probably going to come in at like 45. I
Yeah,
think
I'll
40.
think that they'll average out about 20 apiece, which probably means that Mills will throw about 23 and Fields will throw about 17.
It's bad. I mean, this is one of those games where, I talked to a friend of the show, Steve, last week, and I was like, I feel like, the Jets and the Browns can be a really sneaky shootout that people aren't really looking at. And it turned out that that was right. And this is the opposite. Like, um, I'm going to go with the groupthink on this one, and this game is going to be about as bad as advertised. I'm expecting like a 9-6 type of ball game. It
Whoa.
it could be though. It could something could sneakily happen because both teams aren't the greatest either. I mean, you're looking at a Bears team that lacks talent. I mean, would you lean towards the people being right that it's going to be a low scoring game, or do you lean towards that both defenses are terrible and it could actually be a high scoring game? Because
So
oftentimes when it's two bad teams, it ends up being that it's a shootout because they're just not talented.
so give me a quick second. I'm gonna look it up real quick. I want to know what the over under is on points, and I want you to tell me what you think of that. As far as this game goes, I mean, I don't care whether it's Nagy or Eberflus. They still don't know how to use Justin Fields.
Why is it? Why
I've
is it? Why is that? Then I don't.
I mean, because you look at something like Lamar Jackson, a very comparable quarterback in the sense of he's a weapon with his legs, and
I
Lamar
think
Jackson didn't have to get it done with as a passer his first season when he had no weapons. He got it done with his legs, and
Lamar
in
Jackson
a
struggled
gimme.
his first season, but Lamar Jackson, I mean, not struggled, but Lamar Jackson, I just think they're different players. I don't think we classify everyone that has legs as like the next Lamar. Lamar Jackson's a freak.
See, I'm not going to
Justin,
classify. I'll never classify Jalen. I'm sorry, I just had to say this. I'll never classify Jalen Hurts, Trey Lance as Lamar Jackson. Like some people will say that, and I think that's kind of a
yeah,
lazy take. You can't just compare everybody to Michael Vick or Lamar Jackson.
yeah, the one
But
player I will compare him to is Malik Willis, but I don't think Fields is the same. I think that Malik Willis is a better athlete than Justin Fields. I don't. I think Fields is probably a better passer because I'm not like, I'm not a big Fields fan, but I'd be lying if I didn't say I think he's a better passer. But something is there. Yeah, I don't think you limit your quarterback to 11 pass attempts out of. I just you're limiting his passes because you see what he does in practice every day. And we're on coach number 2. How many strikes do you get? Why is the narrative always the coaches are holding Fields back? Like, I read an article last year that like Fields didn't trust Matt Nagy and he thought he was a fraud. It's like, well, dude, your job is to show up to work and do the best you can. Like, I know he says he does that, but when I read articles like that, it's like your attitude's got to change. Like,
so my thing is on this is that I think if you have a talent like that and you have a guy who runs a sub 4.3 as a quarterback, they recorded that.
mhm.
you use your talents. And I mean,
But they have
listen, I'm a
tried.
49er fan, and I saw him run for 100 yards on us. So as much as I was like, hey, maybe he doesn't know how to run last year, he does know how to run. I mean,
But they are
but
calling
they're
run
trying to
plays.
make him a pocket passer more than anything else, and he knows how to do all the basic stuff. This you say like Malik Willis is a little bit better of an athlete. I'm saying that's not true at all. I think Malik Willis is a wilder athlete. I think he's like a wild stallion out there. Like you're either going to have like this amazing like game, or he's just going to absolutely shit the bed.
I
I
think
think
Malik
Justin.
Willis is highly comparable to Lamar Jackson in terms of their running styles. Um, I think
See,
Justin
that's where I
Fields
would say
is.
you're wrong on that, because I think that Justin Fields has it down. Lamar Jackson doesn't put himself in danger. Malik Willis is not that at all. I think he puts himself in danger multiple times. I think he
I would
showed that in
disagree.
college.
I mean, he got hurt last year running the football. Lamar did.
Yeah, but I mean, that'll happen to anybody. What I'm trying to say is like he deliberately tries to slide, tries to get away from defenses, tries to go out of bounds. Like he doesn't do what Trey Lance did, for instance, where he just barrels into people, or Josh Allen barrels into people.
Well,
Like
Josh Allen's a freak and can handle it, but I think we'll just disagree on that. I think they're
that's
very
fine.
comparable in terms of how they run, but to each his own. I think that I don't know, man. I think we've
Who you got in
overvalued.
this game?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Houston. I think.
And I'm going to give you this one because I promised it to you. The over under is 39.
Fudge. You got to lean under, but both teams are
That's what
terrible.
I
I'll
was
still give
thinking
you the
too.
under. Yeah,
I still think the under. I think
yeah,
this has, at most a 10 to 14 feel to it.
yeah. I'm
Yeah.
with you. Do you think in Houston too?
Yeah, I'm picking the Texans as well. All right. So our next game, and I will actually post this up this week or tomorrow. I know I missed the last one, but I will post it up for everybody to know. And we are doing a charity bet with this one. Well, it's tallied up at the end, $20 to the charity of our choices, just so everybody knows what we're doing with this. So the next one is the Chiefs and the Colts. I don't think we will have a differing point on this as well, but I will pass it to you. What is your narrative with this game?
So I actually think we are going to have a differing view here. Give me the
Oh,
Colts. I'm going to surprise everyone. I think the Colts are actually the. I think this is a huge trap game for the Chiefs. Chiefs are coming off a couple of big wins. Colts get Michael Pittman back, and they also get they get. I can't remember who they get back on the defensive side of the ball, but
are
I
they
think
getting
it's gonna.
Shaq back? Shaq
Yeah,
Leonard?
yeah. I think they're getting Shaq back,
Okay.
and I think it's gonna make a difference at the end of the day. I think the Chiefs have had a couple. They've looked good, but I think this is their first real test, and it's going to be Gilmore isn't the same Gilmore he has been, but I think it's going to shock people. I think the Colts are actually going to be able to kind of hold on in this one. I don't think it's going to be super high scoring. I don't expect it to be. I think it's going to be actually a very hard fought defensive game, and I'm wondering if they're going to find a way to use the zone and try and get pressure up front. So um, that's kind of the way I lean. I think Indy's going to try and control the ball with Jonathan Taylor for most of the game, um, and kind of keep Pat Mahomes off the field. It has a very. I'm getting the Wentz vibe when Wentz played the Bucks last year. They tried running the ball that whole game and keeping Tom Brady off the field, and they gave it up at the very end.
Well, it's going to definitely have to rely on Jonathan Taylor more than the arm of Matt Ryan. Having
As it
Pittman
should.
back will be great, but we're going to see if Jonathan Taylor last week was just a victim of everybody knew what was going to happen, and they didn't maybe give him enough chances to make a big play anyway. So we'll find out.
I will admit that I am surprised that he still employed the Reich.
Well, I think they actually, I mean, he's had what's his worst season in Indy so far? Was it last year, not making the playoffs?
Brissett's the year he had Brissett, the year Luck retired. I guess that was actually before his time.
Yeah, I think that he came in right when Philip Rivers was there, right?
Yeah, but I mean, I just every
He's
time
definitely on
it's
the chopping block. He's on the hot seat for sure.
I would make the switch. I would have made the switch last year. You know how I feel, but I think Wentz got the raw deal there.
Yeah. So you're gonna go Colts. I'm gonna go Chiefs, which I think is the obvious answer, but like you said, it could be a trap game. I like the way the Chiefs are handling their business right now. This is what Patrick Mahomes, what a lot of people were like, oh, can he do it? Can he do it without Tyreek Hill? He's got plenty of weapons. He doesn't just need Tyreek Hill. He's dumping it off to the running backs. He's dumping it off to the slot receivers. He's got Kelsey. He's got everything he needs. The defense is actually pretty improved too. Nick Bolton is a fan favorite over there. He's also a favorite on my IDP team. He's a good linebacker. Chris Jones is still a threat up the middle as a defensive tackle. I like this team. I think the Colts, don't get goose egged again, but I think that they're probably well on their way to being 0-3. Let's see. Well, 2-1. I'm sorry, because I got a tie. The betting on this right now is 50.5. What do you say over under? You think it's gonna be under?
Under you. I think I project the Colts to have the ball about 35, 40 minutes in this game.
Okay. So you think that they're really gonna hold them that off the field? Okay.
That's
I
their
like that.
that's their goal. I mean, that's how they're gonna. That's the only way you win this game. Like if you come in that game with any other game plan,
You're probably gonna lose.
yeah.
So Dolphins Bills. This is my first question is are you buying into Tua in Dynasty?
No, I'm not. At the same time, I'm mainly not just because the hype's too. If you want to wait a couple weeks, then maybe I'm not. I don't. I I try to be very even keel when I evaluate my players. I've never been high on Tua. And one six touchdown game isn't gonna just completely sway my opinion because Joe Flacco just torched the Browns, right? Players get hot, so I'm not gonna say though that I don't think Miami could win this game because the Bills have some injuries on the secondary. But what
Tons.
makes me really just say the Bills should win this game is McDermott's coached against. I don't think McDermott's lost. I think he might have lost one game against Miami since he's been there, and I
Yep.
know that McDaniel's a new coach there. I just think that the Bills' personnel is it. I think the way that the Bills have constructed this team, it's damn near dominant, and it was built to win the division. Like I think their roster is the best roster, and I think they built it to make sure that they could compete with any team in the division.
I agree. I agree with you on that. I think that, obviously the one thing a lot of people are banking on is those safeties, Jordan Poyer and Micah Hyde being out. Dane Jackson is already out, which means probably Kyer Elam will get the start. But what a lot of people are forgetting about this Bills defense is they are really good on the front seven and they will be getting pressure. And I think that's the one thing, everybody's like, oh, well, they'll beat them deep. If Tua doesn't have the time to beat them deep, then they'll be off the field. And I
And it's
think
a
that's
zone
how
based it's a zone based scheme. So it's not as though you're the Jets and you lose, back in the day Cromartie or something, and then you're just like, oh shit, how are we gonna play man coverage this week? Like their defense is pretty well constructed. So
well, and my biggest issue is that they had a 6th round pick out there over their 1st round pick. But now they're going to have their 1st round pick out there. They have to have him out there.
it's crazy.
So,
Yeah, I'm with you. It's
and,
concerning.
and I think, and I think their 1st round pick is more of a man guy, anyways. I think Kyer Elam is, probably better set up for a man type of offense. Anyways, he's a big, lengthy guy who can give you problems. But I don't know. It's going to be a
McDermott
good matchup,
has
though.
McDermott has been an absolute freak in developing his secondary though. I mean, you look at, Dane Jackson has
Yeah.
you can't tell that Trey White hasn't been playing this season based on the scores, right? And then you even go back to the last couple of years, they had another 5th round pick that I loved. I can't. The name escapes me at the moment, but he's a good teacher. I mean, he's good at developing the secondary. That's what he does.
Yeah, he's really he's Kyle Shanahan-esque in his way of developing those guys. Because Kyle Shanahan can take a seventh round running back and turn him into a RB2, RB1. So who are you picking in this one? Are you
I'm
picking
gonna
the
go
Bills?
Buffalo. I'm gonna go Buffalo, but you know, not by much. I think people are gonna. I just think I don't like home dogs. It's always a thing.
That's fair enough. Why are you an underdog when you have the home field advantage, right?
Yeah.
Um, so let's see. Let's go to our next game.
Are you doing Bills too?
Which oh yes, I'm going Bills too. Um, we're Lions and Vikings. Tell me, Lions and Vikings. Here is one for you. DeAndre Swift. Are you trading for, trading away, or holding on to?
I am trading away if I can get a haul. Still an absolute freak, but it's a running back. So anytime I can make 5x my investment or whatever you want to call it, um, you draft him early the first round. If you can get 2 firsts and 2 twos, I will do that for a player that I don't think will be highly valuable on my roster in the next 3 years. Um, it's all about finding the right deal. So as far as this
So
game
do you,
goes, this game's going to be a complete disaster for Detroit. I think. I think Goff gets exposed. I think Minnesota's angry after their performance on Monday, and I think Kirk Cousins is going to have a great day, and so is Justin Jefferson. I think it's going to be like 35-7.
you heard it here first from Justin, the Dynasty Matt. He said Kirk Cousins is gonna have a good day. I like that. I like that a lot. I think it'll be a very like highly contested game in this one. I think that Kirk Cousins and Jared Goff both have the opportunity to show out in this game. I've got one more for you. This is the guy who's been creating so much buzz after his performance last week. Amon-Ra St. Brown. Are you trading for, trading away, or holding him?
I'll just hold him. I
Yeah.
It's difficult. He's been ridiculous. I mean, I liked him a lot on film, and then he went in the fourth, right? And I was out.
Yeah, that was kind of when people were taking him really high like that, you're like, all right, you're not making the game fun for me anymore.
Yeah,
You're taking all these guys that I'm like, oh, these are eighth round, ninth round picks, and you're like, no, I'm gonna get them in the fourth. Okay, whatever. All right. You've inflated the value.
I
But
hate when that happens. I mean, it's just like I liked Lance coming out as far as a prospect, but you know, when you spend a first round, early second round pick on a guy that hasn't, I'll never understand stuff like that.
yep. And then Kyle Shanahan goes and ruins them for you.
Just like
Uh,
RG3.
just like RG3. The track record continues. No, hopefully the best comes out of that. I hope he gets healthy and I hope he comes back
I will say,
very
parents,
strong.
don't trust your kids around a Don't trust your quarterback around a Shanahan.
Or your running backs.
You're right. True.
Oh, yeah. Parents don't, kids don't aspire to be 49ers running backs. Um, so you're taking the Vikings in this
Oh
one?
yeah. Yep.
Okay. I'm going to take the Vikings as well. Let's see. What is our next game? Our next game is the Ravens and the Patriots. Does this game feel like a snore fest for you? Because it kind of feels like it's going to be a snore fest for me. Like, I don't know if it's going to be a Ravens blowout or if it's going to be something along the lines of what the Steelers and Pats did last week.
Um,
Either way, I feel like I'm going to be like, I could go without watching this game.
this seems like if I didn't have an NFL ticket and this game was on my TV, I would probably be making other plans that day. For sure. Feel like it's
Baltimore
gonna
area
be
right here.
feel like it's gonna be a Baltimore blowout. I think we're near the end of the Belichick era. I really do. You heard it here burst. I'm gonna get pulled up on some damn meme if he wins the Super Bowl, but I think Belichick is a shell of himself without Tom Brady.
Well, I mean, if he wins a Super Bowl, the era is definitely not over. It might have just had its second revival. First one being him going to the Patriots to begin with. But so for this one, it was hard for me. Rashad Bateman, are you trading for him, trading away, or are you holding on to him?
I don't know. I just feel like everyone wants Rashad Bateman, and I don't understand it. Probably trading away. I just don't see the passing volume from a team that just scored a crap ton of points. I don't know. It just still feels like a Mark Andrews led team.
Oh, it definitely does. But I do like what I've seen in the past 2 weeks, or the only 2 weeks of the season from him. He obviously, they want to get him involved in this offense, and they've got nobody else to really turn to unless you have Duvernay in
Whatever
there.
happened to all the
But
people that were gloating about James Prochet this offseason? Like, where the fuck is
I
that
don't
guy?
know. I thought you were the James Prochet like fan club leader over there, the president.
I had him in. I mean, I looked at him in Devi once, but like, I just what happened? I mean, people kept telling me he was good, and he was the wide receiver. Who is the wide receiver too there? Do we even know?
It's
It's a.
probably it's
I think it's a
Duvernay.
myth that exists in that offense. There is no wide receiver too.
It's just the ongoing joke. You don't want to be the wide receiver two because you're never going to get any looks.
Yeah.
The wide receiver two is still Rashad Bateman. The wide receiver one is Mark Andrews. Oh,
You're not
there's
wrong.
actually another one. Isaiah Likely. Are you keeping him, trading for him, or trading him away?
What's happened with him? Has he done
Well,
anything?
he's been getting some good target shares past couple games.
I haven't noticed. I'll just keep him. I don't
Do
I
you
don't
think he has a
normally
chance to be something in this offense?
uh, not in the immediate future, but in the next couple of years, yes.
Okay,
I don't like trading away rookies
that's
unless your
fair enough.
name's. I mean, people were trading away Terrence Marshall last year because he was inactive one game, and I'm like, yeah, I get it, but they haven't been wrong so far either. So the
Wait,
biggest thing, as we've talked about in the show, is you just got to be ahead of the curve. You have to see something before the rest of the community sees it. So,
yeah, I think that's what Hot Take Nation's all about, aka Twitter. Is just trying to spitball everything out there until you find the one that hits.
I rhyme and I rip, I rip and I rhyme. Still have best
So let's see.
rappers.
Let's keep this going. Bengals and Jets. Bengals and Jets. Does Joe Burrow figure it out?
Oh man, we were both right on Burrow. I think we both agreed he was way overhyped.
Yeah, a little bit overhyped.
I was reading about Josh Larkey, and I tend to agree with. I mean, or not Larkey, but Jordan McNamara over at Football Guys was posting some interesting stats today, and essentially he pretty much came out and said that sacks are QB stat, and the number one person that objectifies that stat is Joe Burrow. A lot of the sacks he's gotten this season have been his fault, not his Lions' fault, and I think he's being very timid. I just this game could be a shootout. This is probably the shootout of the week. I haven't really listened to anything, but this is probably a game that you want to get a lot of players in because I think the Jets have a lot of talent. You might be chasing points with the Jets from last week, but you got Elijah Moore, you got Garrett Wilson, you got Michael Carter slash Brees Hall, you got Corey Davis. Bengals defense isn't exactly unworldly good, and neither is New York Jets. So I think that the Bengals win this game, but I think it's a shootout. How crazy am I?
Yeah, you're pretty damn crazy, but not for this take. I like Joe Flacco. I think that he's brought this team to life, which is crazy to think. Um, at this point, this team is just kind of loaded up on talent. It just needs somebody to kind of just, start the engine. It's a nice Mustang, and the keys are in the ignition, but do we have somebody who can drive stick? I mean, I know you don't need to anymore, but some of the nicer Mustangs, you need to know how to drive stick. And Joe Flacco is old enough to know how
Yeah,
to
how
drive
old are
stick.
you to be talking about sticks? You're missing our you're missing our target market here.
I know, right? The Zach Wilson target, right? Um,
Get out of here.
so yeah, I look at this and I look at Joe Flacco. Is he going to throw 50 times a game? I don't know. Can he keep this up for more than 3 more weeks? Still, I don't know, but I'm still down to watch it. Um,
More so than the
it's
Baltimore.
benefited Garrett Wilson. It's benefited Corey Davis. It's benefited Tyler Conklin. Brees Hall's benefited from it. This offense is really going, and for a guy who bought in on some of this offense, I have Brees Hall, I have Elijah Moore. Some of my dynasty teams, I picked up Garrett Wilson. I'm cool with it. I like having Joe Flacco behind there because at least I know what I'm getting.
Until
Zach Wilson's a huge unknown right now.
Zach Wilson's going to be the MVP next year, 2023.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I had him as in my top 12 quarterbacks. It's not looking good right now. But maybe I'll just say top 12 from when he starts the season.
The thing is though, is like, I know this sounds sketchy and like dumb because there's like no, it's a theory I have, but like one of these QBs out of that draft class has to be good. I refuse to believe that all 5 of them suck. One of them has to live up, and I just think it's Wilson. All the reports I heard were positive out of camp. I'm leaving my chips on the table. I'm going to roll with the dice in my gut and my scouting. I think Wilson's the one that comes out of this. This AFC East could be super competitive over the next couple of years.
Oh, look at that. TSS Fantasy is checking it. It's way past your bedtime, old man. He says this is where you're getting it from. He's a Dolphins fan. He's always harping on me because I backed the Jets up. Yeah, I mean, and let's talk about the Bengals side a little bit. Joe Burrow, like you said, the sacks tend to be a problem for him. I mean, you can't necessarily always blame the line. Russell Wilson will tell you that. But I don't know. I mean, he's got to be a little bit quicker with his throws. He's got 2 all elite talents on the outside.
And he's got Joe Mixon.
Yeah, I mean, he's got Joe Mixon. He's got Tyler Boyd in the slot. And then he's got the Lord and Savior Hayden Hurst as his tight end as well. So, I mean, you just got to get something done. It was unacceptable to lose to Dallas. And this would be even more unacceptable to lose to New York Jets. So
I'm telling you, it's going to be. I think it's a shootout, and I think Cincinnati wins for sure.
Yeah, I'm going to pencil in Cincinnati for both of us. The bung holes it is.
Marvin Lewis be damned. What about Vegas and Tennessee? I mean, this game is interesting. I don't know what I don't know. I just get the vibe that Ryan Tannehill is damaged goods, and each week that passes by, I just get the vibe that like this dude is like a dead man walking. Every loss that piles up, you're just like, all right, Malik Willis has got to play, because here's the deal: like if they keep losing, eventually it's going to come down to, okay, well, we're probably taking a quarterback next year, but what do we have in Malik Willis? And before we make that commitment, let's see what this kid can do. And it's almost just like, I mean, how bad can it get? I mean, this team looks like garbage. Derrick Henry looks washed. There's a lot of storylines in this game. I mean,
well, I would say, you gotta look at it from the perspective of this man coming back from a foot injury, which as a running back, we all know you need your feet. Tannehill, to what you're saying, everybody looks bad against the Bills so far. I mean, Matthew Stafford looked like shit against the Bills. Like everybody was like already harping on the Matthew Stafford. Is his tendonitis okay in his elbow? after that game.
I'm telling you, man, something just seems off here. They don't have any targets. People were drafting Robert Woods like he didn't come off an ACL tear. It just feels like the end is nigh for Ryan Tannehill. You get to 0-6, and then I don't know how you come back. This is by every intention, to my point, this is a must-win game for Tennessee, in my opinion.
It's a must-win for both teams. You think about the investment the Raiders put in to going all in and getting into the playoffs this year and making a run with Devontae Adams. I mean, they can't go 0-3, not in that division. And then, I think Tennessee is the only one in this one that could go 0-3 and still pull out this division somehow. You go 0-3 in the AFC West, you're almost saying that you're not going to make the playoffs.
I just don't think either team's making the playoffs. I felt Vegas was overhyped coming in, but I mean, Vegas needs to just throw the damn ball to Devontae Adams. And that is, they're making this game way too hard. Tennessee's real problem is lack of targets. I mean, the fucking Raiders have weapons. I just don't understand them. I think this one's ugly, and I think it's going to be the Raiders mopping the floor with it. I think Tennessee is a bunch of frauds. And I think Vrabel's, like I said, going to be having a new GM next year because, Vrabel could end up being the next Bill O'Brien and getting control because his GM was so incompetent before him.
I don't know if I'd be in with that one because I have not seen. I don't know. I think you should always have a separation there. I think you got to have two people on the same page, but you got to have one guy signing the checks and one guy fucking, doing the damage as the head coach.
Are you insinuating that Bill O'Brien was a bad GM? I mean, he traded away David Johnson, or he got the myth David Johnson, and all it cost him was DeAndre Hopkins.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, he was the only guy who could trade DeAndre Hopkins and get a second round pick for him, and the aforementioned David Johnson. So that's definitely some GM of the year material right there.
that's my type of guy.
So I'm going to go Titans in this one. I think the Titans are going to come back. I think that they really do need this win. And I think the Raiders are the actual pretenders here. I like Derek Carr. I think I put an endorsement on him, but he needs to kind of step out of that 202 touchdown club.
I'm shocked. I just, wow. I see the thing. I think the Raiders could be. I see nothing in that Tennessee team that makes me think they can win.
So, football is a week-to-week thing, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
So, we're talking about a week-to-week situation. I think Derrick Henry can definitely go off in this game. The Raiders have shown no sign of being able to fully stop an offense. I mean, let's face it. They let the Cardinals come back on them last week.
They did not let the Cardinals come back on them.
They did. They did.
They didn't. They let Kyler Murray
23-7.
They let Kyler Murray come back because no one else did a damn thing on that team.
Yeah. Well, AJ Green tried his best to throw the game away and drop every pass in there. But somehow, I will give you that, somehow Kyler snuck in that 2-point conversion to tie up the game.
That dude, it must have Call of Duty. If that came out last week, they would have lost that game.
So let's move on since we're running a little short on time. Yeah. Washington versus Philadelphia.
Give me Captain
Philadelphia
Wentz.
Coming off of a big win over the Vikings. Washington coming off of a close loss to the Lions. How do you see this game playing out?
Captain Wentz, 24-21.
Oh, Captain, my Captain. What was that again? 24-21?
24-21.
Commanders?
Yes.
Wow. I didn't think we'd agree on this one, but we agree.
Really?
I don't know if it's going to be that score. I actually think the Commanders could walk away with this one 24-14. I think that the Eagles were a little hyped up. They had a lot of things go for them.
Yeah.
including Darius Slay, was completely on. I think there's more weapons, and I think Wentz is using all of his weapons
I
properly,
think I
something
think
that Kirk Cousins didn't.
I think the problem in Washington really is that they're not letting Wentz pass until the second half. They need to just let him run the offense because, you know, I know Wentz has a lot of flaws, but at the end of the day, he's actually very talented and the weapons are there. So if you're going to trade what you traded for him, just let him play and you'll know if he's the answer if you just open up the playbook.
Yeah, they are playing with house money at this point. You might as well
Yeah.
just let him be him.
Yeah.
And I mean, he's got a bone to pick with Philadelphia. A lot of people hate him in that town.
And Doug Peterson. Or I guess, never mind. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I was
Philadelphia.
gonna say. I mean, he could take his frustration out on Nick Sirianni, a second generation
He should.
Peterson, or
He should.
um. Let's see,
Jacksonville and the Rams. This is a game no one wants to watch.
Jacksonville and the Chargers.
Oh, it just says Los Angeles. Yeah. Blaine Gabbert v. Uh,
So
give
I
me
think this is a
Jacksonville.
game that you don't start. Trevor
I
Lawrence. Yeah.
I don't even want to. No, I'm going to take Jacksonville. I'm sick to my stomach thinking this is a game.
So you're going to Chargers?
No, I'm going Jacksonville because I don't think Herbert's
You're
playing.
going to Jags. Okay.
I don't think Herbert's playing. I mean, I've seen too much of Blaine Gabbert in my life to ever think he could win anything.
See, I think Herbert plays in this game. And I think
Gabbert
that
got all the first reps today, and then Vegas moved the line down a bunch because I think Vegas thinks he's not playing.
Well, they might just be resting him the whole time. I mean, makes sense. He's the quarterback of the team. He knows what he's doing. He might just need to take 10 days, the full extent of the 10 days off.
Yeah, I wouldn't play. I'd actually give him a couple weeks off. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you think they'd have a better, why don't they have better backup quarterbacks? You ever ask that question? Just like, 49ers had it right. Just sign your existing quarterback that you don't want anymore to a backup contract. So then you have somebody who can slide right in. Yeah, Blaine Gabbert.
I view my backup quarterback though, like similar to my kickers, in that I would never pay a kicker after their rookie deal. I would just keep drafting backup quarterbacks in like the second round.
Yeah.
I really don't think you can go wrong because then like if you hit
You
on
said in
them,
the second round?
yeah, second, third round. I mean, if you hit on them, I mean, look how many quarterbacks that we keep finding. Like Dak Prescott in the fourth. Derek Carr was a second round pick.
What was Tyler Huntley? Is he an undrafted free agent?
I don't know. I'm not sure actually.
Drafted.
I just feel like we're getting more and more talent in the NFL to the point where I wouldn't keep paying these bums like Blaine Gabbert to be my backup. I would just keep shooting my shot in the draft, on a day 2 pick. And then, because, best case scenario, you draft these guys, they turn into something, and then you have tradable assets. Like, even if they're, like a Tyler Huntley behind a Lamar Jackson, like people want to trade for these guys.
I mean, can we really talk about the narrative of Blaine Gabbert? Yeah, Tyler Huntley was undrafted, but if Blaine Gabbert starts this game, it's a Blaine Gabbert revenge game.
Oh,
He's going to be playing
gosh,
the team that drafted him.
The only one that's going to this game is Blaine Gabbert's family. What about Rams at Cardinals, by the way? I know we're running out of time. We got 4 games left. We can just kind of run through these. I'm going to go with are you taking Jacksonville or who are you taking on the last game?
I'm picking the Chargers.
Chargers. Yeah, I'm going to go Rams here pretty easily.
Okay. I'm going to take the Rams as well. Who do you got in Falcons Seahawks?
I'm going to go Atlanta.
Okay. I got the Falcons as well. Do you think that Mariota could have a QB2 week this week?
Yeah, Mariota's fine. He's a fine flex play.
How about Cordero Patterson?
I saw that you're high on him this week.
Yes, I am.
Yeah, I think no reason not to be. I really think it's another freaking. I just love Drake London. He's a stud.
What about DK Metcalf? Do you think that Coach Pete Carroll lets him ride?
No, I think they're going to run the ball. Even though he keeps talking about opening up the playbook for DK Metcalf for Gino, I don't
Gino.
buy any. That dude is like a used car salesman. He's the guy in Family Guy trying to sell me volcano insurance.
You could no. He's the guy. Who's like, you could have the boat, or
Or you
you
could
could
have
have the
the mystery
box.
box.
But whoa!
Well,
It could be anything in the
anything. It could even be a
box.
boat.
It could even be a boat.
Boat.
So Packers and Bucks. Who do you got?
This is gonna be. I was writing about this earlier today for Prediction Strike. It's
This might be the worst, highest profile game. Like
yeah.
I think
I
this is gonna
wrote
be a
down
shit
that
show.
these teams are literally the same. It's literally the same exact team. Two offenses, because with no receivers, good running backs, and maybe a decent defense. I mean, this game's gonna be like a 10-7 game.
Yeah,
Give me Tampa. They're at home.
I'll take Green Bay. You can have Tampa Bay. I'll take Green Bay.
Now a
I
shootout
think
by
this
the
will be
Bay.
the last time that Aaron Rodgers ever has a win against Tom Brady, and he'll finish 2-3.
2-3. Monday night or
Niners,
Sunday night. I'm gonna go
Broncos.
with your Niners, and I think it's gonna be the Deebo Samuel show, and I think he's a stud.
Indeed, I agree. I will go with the Niners as well, but I will actually raise you a George Kittle and say it's going to be the George Kittle show.
Possibly, but Denver is. I want to say Denver gives up the greatest yards per attempt. Or no, that was Miami actually. Yeah, Josh
They're
Allen's
actually
gonna
really good against
the run.
against just about everything except for tight end. So learned that on TSS to say. Finishing off, Giants Cowboys. Who you got? The Giants 3-0 material.
I can't believe we're here. I mean, that's
Your boy Dable. Your boy Dable.
I hate Dable, but yeah, he's done well.
I will say this. Saquon Barkley looked very human last week.
He was like he had like a DJ Moore type of a week, but
yeah.
I'm gonna go with
Except
the
DJ
Giants.
Moore could have those type of weeks and still cover what I need him to cover.
Still
So
finish like wide receiver 27. Yeah, good.
wide receiver
I'm gonna go with
24.
Giants here. I think Giants take the division lead, which here we are, the NFC least. We talked about. You said it was a hot take in June when I said the Cowboys were gonna fall off this season.
Well, I mean, can we really consider Dak Prescott being injured like a legit fall off?
I mean,
Like that defense is still good enough to win a game against the
he
Bengals.
looked so shitty week one.
Come
He
on.
looked
It was the
so bad.
Bucks.
Oh
It
man.
was the Bucks.
Oh man. Come
I'm just
on.
saying you can't necessarily just
Oh.
take claim to a write-off when the quarterback's out for
I
like
mean,
4
even
to
when he
6
comes
weeks.
back, dude, it's oh so gross. The Cowboys suck. Send them back. I'm writing them off. We disagree on Dak. Cowboys are so overhyped, and we're overhyped.
I will say this: you are correct; they are overhyped. But I'm gonna go with the Cowboys in this game. I think that defense is too legit to quit, and I think that they will be bringing the pressure all day on Danny Dimes.
Yeah, that's fine. He's gonna dump the ball off to Mr. Saquon.
Well, if he doesn't fumble it first.
He could.
Back to the old days.
He's more likely to trip and fall, though.
Well, I mean, a sack's a sack, I guess.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that was another thrilling episode of the Dynasty Brews podcast. As you can tell, we are both so exhausted after giving you all this great information, but we do it because we love you guys. And, you know, as usual, guys, you can catch us on Twitter, you can catch us on Facebook, you can catch us on not Instagram because we haven't gotten Instagram up yet, but you can catch us on YouTube. Next week, we'll be bringing some more great Dynasty stuff. We'll be finding some ways to incorporate all Dynasty moves into this. But yeah, another great episode. And as usual, guys, stay frosty, Brew Crew.
Yeah.